Hi guys, good evening, all of you. Is my voice audible? Please confirm, all of you. Are you able to hear my voice? Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So today we are here to discuss about Java 1.8 version features. Java is one programming language developed by Sun Microsystems. So initial version of Java is 1.0, later 1.1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.8, 9, 10, 11, then 13, 17, 18, 19. There are so many versions available in the Java. Out of all these versions, we can consider some big versions in the Java. Out of all these versions, in which versions the major changes happened in the Java language, right? So Java 1.0, then Java 1.1, then Java 1.2. In the Java 1.2, collections framework got introduced. That is one of the biggest change in the 1.2. Then after that, we can consider Java 1.5 version. It is a big release because lot of new features introduced in Java 1.5 version like generics, auto boxing, auto unboxing, concurrent collections, string builder, annotations. Lot of new features got introduced in Java 1.5 version. That's why Java 1.5 version is called a biggest release in the Java language. After that, Java 1.6, 1.7 came. Java 1.8. This Java 1.8 is another big release in the Java. From the Java 1.8, they supported for functional programming. That was the first time when Java supported for functional programming. Still, even Java 19 also came into the market. Java 19 version also released into the market. In the year, two times Java versions are getting released in the March and in the September. In the 2 months, those new versions of the Java is releasing into the market. Even the Java is having the 19th version, still 80% to 80 to 85% of the projects are using Java 1.8 version. That much demand is there for Java 1.8. Java 1.8 is one of the big release. The what is that big release meaning of that? What is the meaning of big release? So many new features got introduced in that version. They changed the style of the programming, how we write the programs earlier and how we write the programs in the Java 1.8 is going to be different. So new programming style got introduced in Java 1.8 version. So let us try to understand what are those new features introduced in the Java 8. All right. So as part of this session, we are going to understand Java 1.8 features. I'm going to spend 20 to 25 hours of time to discuss this Java 1.8 features. All right, Java 1.8 version features. Now, first, Java 8 introduced a lot of new features. Java 8 introduced Java 8 introduced a lot of new features. Java 8 features changed style of programming in the Java. Java 8 features, Java 8 changed Java programming style. Earlier, we used to follow just object-oriented programming style. We used to create the classes. We used to create the objects. But first time in the Java, functional programming got introduced. Lambda expressions got introduced in the Java. So from the Java 8, the complete coding style, the programming style got changed. The programming style got changed. What are the main aim? What is the main aim of the Java 8? What is the main aim of Java 1.8 version? The main aim of Java 1.8 is to write less number of lines of code. Okay, to simplify the programming, simplify programming, simplify Java programming, simplify Java programming. That was the one of the main aim of Java 8. Simplify the Java programming was one of the main aim of Java 8. And the second one is enable functional programming. Enable functional programming. Earlier, this concept was not available in the Java. First time with the Java 1.8 version, functional programming support got introduced. Then after, write more readable and concise code. Write more readable and concise code. Write more readable and concise code. Readable, concise code means less number of lines of code to do the more work. So because of these reasons, Sun Microsystem, I mean to say Oracle Corporation has done the changes in the Java 1.8 version. So to simplify Java programming, to enable functional programming in the Java, to write more readable and concise code, this Java 8 features got introduced. Java 8 features, what are those? We will understand what are the new features that got introduced in the Java 1.8 version. Java 8 introduced lot of new features. Java 8 new features changed Java programming style. How we will write earlier code, how we are going to write the code from 1.8, that is going to be different. New style of programming got introduced in the Java 8. Okay, good. Simplify Java programming, enable functional programming, write more readable and concise code. These are the main objectives or main aim of Java 1.8 version. What are the new features introduced in Java 1.8 version? Java 1.8 features. The first change that they made in the Java 1.8 is in the interfaces. Interface changes. Interface changes. Earlier, up to 1.7 version, our interface will contain only abstract methods. Up to 1.7 version of Java, our interface will contain only abstract methods. But from Java 1.8, we can write concrete methods also in the interface. The method which contains body is called as a concrete method. Up to 1.7 version of Java, we can write only abstract methods. The method which does not contain any body, that method is called abstract method. But in the Java 1.8 version, they provided the support to write concrete methods also. Sir, why they provided the methods, concrete methods in the interfaces? We will see what is the reason behind that. In the interfaces, they introduced a concept called default methods and static methods. We can write default methods and we can write static methods in the interface with the body. Up to 1.7, we can write only abstract methods in the interface, but from 1.8 version, they introduced default methods and static methods. We will understand what are the reasons behind these concrete methods in the interface. Second change, they provided functional interface. Functional interfaces got introduced in Java 1.8. Earlier we discussed interface nothing but collection of abstract methods. Functional interface, the interface which contains only one abstract method, that is called functional interface. In the functional interface, there are several predefined functional interfaces they provided. One is called predicate, predicate and by predicate, predicate and by predicate. They provided consumer, consumer and by consumer. Consumer interface is available and supplier interface is available. Supplier interface is available and function interface is also available. Okay guys, predicate, consumer, supplier, function, like that, these are predefined functional interfaces that are introduced in Java 1.8. What is a functional interface? The interface which contains only one abstract method, that interface is called functional interface. So there are several predefined functional interfaces that got introduced. One is a predicate, second one is a consumer, third one is supplier, and fourth one is function. We will talk about these functional interfaces and how to work with them. And third concept, they introduced lambda expressions. Lambda expressions. These lambda expressions are used to write functional programming in the Java without any name, without return type, then we can write our logic by using these lambda expressions. First three changes here, interfaces they have modified in the Java 1.8. From the 1.8 version, you can write concrete methods also in the interface. Those concrete methods are default methods and static methods. And in the 1.8 version, they introduced a concept called functional interfaces. Functional interfaces nothing but the interface which contains only one abstract method, that is called functional interface. Predicate, consumer, supplier, function, like that some predefined functional interfaces available in Java 1.8. What is the purpose of them? How to work with them? We are going to learn as part of this course. Lambda expressions got introduced. These lambda expressions are used to simplify our program. The programming style will be changed. The programming will be simplified by using these lambda expressions. Lambda expressions is one of the biggest change that happened in the 1.8 version. Okay, guys. And the next one, they provided a concept called method references. Method references and constructor references. Method references and constructor references concept also they provided. Earlier, if you want to call a method, for example, if you want to write system.out.println to print the data, hi like this. Okay, here println is a static method. From Java 1.8, you can write like this system.out:\println. That's it. So this is a double colon operator got introduced. This is called method reference. So method references are the alternatives for lambda expressions. We can write a lambda expression to execute our code. As an alternate for the lambda expression, we can go for a method reference. You can write like this system.out.println of hi to print a message on the console. From 1.8, you can keep double colon like this to print the data. That is one of the change. A method reference concept introduced. Similar to the method references, we are having constructor reference also in the 1.8 version. And the most important topic in the Java 1.8, that is stream API. Without asking questions on the lambda expressions and stream API, your interview will not be completed. If you keep 1 year experience, or if you keep 6 years experience, if you keep 10 years experience also in the Java, without asking the questions on the lambda expressions and stream API, your interview will not be completed. Your interview will not be completed. I'm giving stars here. See how many stars I am giving. The reason for giving these stars, that much important topic it is. Stream API. Lot of questions they are going to ask on the stream API in every Java interview. Right? Method references available, constructor references available, lambda expressions available to simplify our program, to add the functional programming flavor to the Java. This lambda expressions got introduced, method references introduced, constructor references introduced, and stream API is available. Stream API is used to process the data. We have collections in the Java. We completed collections framework in this week. Collections framework provided several classes, interfaces, methods to store the data. Once data is stored in the collection, I want to process the data. For example, I have given list of employees. Get employees whose salary is greater than or equal to 1 lakh. Whose salary is greater than or equal to 1 lakh. In the interview, they are going to ask a question like this. I'm going to give you list of employee objects in a collection. List of employees available in collection. List of employees objects available in collection. Can you write a Java program to get the employees whose salary is greater than 1 lakh rupees by using stream? Get the employees. Second requirement, get employees whose salary is less than or equal to 30,000 and working in Delhi location. My employees are there in a collection. 100 employees are available. You retrieved 100 employees and you stored in the collection. Can you retrieve the employees whose salary is less than 30,000 and who are working in the Delhi location? by using Stream API. And one more thing they are going to ask you, get employee email, get employee email whose salary, whose salary is greater than 1 lakh, whose salary is greater than 1 lakh, and whose salary is greater than 1 lakh and working in Hyderabad location, working in HYD location, like that. In number of scenarios they will give you, and they will ask you to write a Stream API code for that. So in every interview nowadays, these questions are very common. Collections and streams both are not same. Collections are used to store the data. Collections are used to store group of objects. The data will be represented by using collection. Once the data is represented by using collection, to process that data, to filter that data, we are going to use a concept called Stream API. Stream API only used for processing. Stream API not for storing the data. Collections framework classes interfaces are available. Those are used to store the data. Stream API is just to process the data. Stream API is just to process the data. These are the common interview questions that they are going to ask you. Get the employee's salary. Get employees whose name is, whose salary is greater than or equal to this one. Get EMPs whose salary is less than 30,000 working in Delhi location. Employees whose salary is greater than or equal to 1 lakh and working in Hyderabad location. Working in Hyderabad location. Get the employees. Get employee. Get employee. Get employees whose name starts with A. Whose name starts with A. Get the employee details whose name starts with A. So I'm going to give you list of employee objects. You need to process that data by using Stream API. These are the common questions in every interview. So Stream API is very important, guys. Every Java developer should know Stream API. Every Java developer should know Stream API. Okay, now Stream API is one of the biggest change in the Java 1.8. And the next one, they introduced a class called optional class. Optional class got introduced. This optional class introduced to avoid null pointer exceptions. Getting null pointer exception is very common when we are working with a programming, right? When we are developing a project, getting a null pointer exception is very common. When we perform some operation on the null value, then we are going to get null pointer exception. To avoid that null pointer exception, we are going to use optional class. Optional class is used to avoid null pointer exception. This optional class also introduced in Java 1.8 version. Introduced in 1.8 version. And one more thing is they provided one iterator that is called special iterator. Earlier we have seen normal iterator. Earlier we have seen normal iterator and list iterator enumeration cursors, right? In the Java 1.8, they provided a iterator called special iterator for parallel processing. Okay, if you want to process a collection data parallelly, then you can go for this special iterator concept. And they introduced one more class called string joiner. String joiner class also introduced in Java 1.8 version, right? 1.8 version. And they made few changes to collections. For each method got introduced, collections framework changed. Collections framework changes. In the collections framework also, they made few changes. In the collections framework also, they made few changes. Those are also part of Java 1.8. So these all are the changes that happened in the Java 1.8 version. These are very important. Even Java current version is 19, but still 1.8 is the hot cake in the market. Lot of demand, so many features, complete programming style got changed in the industry. Even still in my current project, we are using Java 1.8 version. My project is a banking application. My project is using Java 1.8 version. Still we are not migrated to Java 11 or Java 17 because new versions means it will take some time to migrate our projects. So 80 to 85% of projects are using Java 1.8 version. So to attend the interview, Java 1.8 features are mandatory for every Java developer. Whether you are a fresher, whether you are experienced, if you want to attend any Java based interview, 1.8 features are mandatory. So write down my words. If you attend any interview, let me know if they don't ask any question in the Java 8. If they don't ask any question in the Java 8, that's not a Java interview. That's not a Java interview because that much demand is there for Java 1.8 futures. Okay, and one more thing is they made some changes to date and time API. Date and time API changes also introduced in the 1.8 version. Already we have date class, calendar class in the Java, but there are some drawbacks with the date and calendar. So they introduced date and time API in the Java 1.8 version. So these are the new changes that happen in 1.8 version. Java 8 introduced a lot of new features in Java. Java 8 version or Java 1.8 we can call. Java 1.8 version introduced a lot of new features in Java, lot of new APIs, new functionality they added. Java 1.8 new features, Java 1.8 version new features changed Java programming style. Complete programming style got changed from Java 1.8 version. What are the main objectives, main aim of Java 8? What are the main objectives of Java 1.8? The main intention of Java 1.8 to simplify Java programming, to enable functional programming in the Java, to write more readable, concise code. Concise nothing but less number of lines of code we can write, and that code should have more readability. These are the main objectives of going for Java 1.8 version. Sir, you are saying this much great things about Java 1.8. What are those features actually? What are those features which introduced in Java 1.8? The first thing is up to 1.7 version of Java, we can write only abstract methods in the interfaces. But from Java 1.8, we can write concrete methods also in the interfaces. What is the difference between abstract method and concrete method? The method which does not contain the body is called as abstract method. The method which contains the body is called as concrete method. From 1.8 version, you can write concrete methods also in the interfaces. Those methods should be default methods and static methods. And the next one, functional interfaces introduced. Interface nothing but a collection of methods. We know interfaces, we know marker interfaces. Interface nothing but collection of abstract methods. But from 1.8, can we say interface means only collection of abstract methods? Our definition correct from 1.8 or our definition not correct from 1.8? So now, what is the interface in the Java? Can I say interface contains only a collection of abstract methods? Is that statement correct? Your statement is correct up to 1.7, but in the 1.8, that statement is wrong. Interface can contain abstract methods. Interface can contain a default and static methods also. Collection of abstract, default, and static methods. We need to change our definition. Interface contains collection of abstract methods, default methods, and static methods. Default and static methods are concrete methods. They can write, they can have body also. Why these default and static methods introduced? We'll talk about the reason. What is the reason behind that? What is the thought process of the Java development team, Java people, the people who are working on our Java software, how they thought this, how they coined this idea, how they got this idea, what make them to add the concrete methods in the Java 1.8, we are going to understand. All right. And functional interfaces. The interface which contains exactly one abstract method, only one abstract, and there can be n number of default methods and static methods. If a functional interface nothing but the interface contains only one abstract method, that interface is called as functional interface. In the 1.8 version, we can write our own functional interfaces. And Java also provided functional interface. What are those functional interfaces? Predicate, consumer, supplier, function, by predicate, by consumer, by function. Like this, we have the several predefined functional interfaces. Okay, sir, why these functional interfaces introduced? The reason for introducing functional interfaces is to call the lambda expression. Earlier, in the object-oriented programming, everything we will represent by using class, object, methods. But from 1.8, we can write lambdas. We can write the lambdas, functions. We can write the functions in the Java, nameless functions, anonymous functions. Lambda is a anonymous function. So earlier, if you want to write a method, you need to write a method with a name, method with a return type. But lambda, no name, no return type. It is an anonymous function. Anonymous function. So whenever you write a lambda expression, it does not have any name, it does not have any return type. Then how to call these lambda expressions? To call the lambda expressions, we have functional interfaces. Functional interface, nothing but the interface which contains only one abstract method, that is called functional interface. To call those lambda expressions, we are going to write functional interfaces. What is lambda? Lambda is nothing but anonymous function, no name, no return type. Right. As an alternate for the lambdas, they given a concept called method references, and we have constructor references also. We'll talk about them. And the most important thing in the Java 8 is Stream API. I have given the stars. You can understand how much important it is. In the interview, they are going to ask scenario based questions on the Stream API. They will tell that I have some data as a collection. Can you process the data by using Stream API? Can you get the records based on the salary? Can you get the records based on the location? Can you get the records based on the name? Several conditions they will give you, and they will ask you to write that code. Filter operations on the stream, filter operations on the collection, map operations on the collection, intermediate operations will be available, ternary operations will be available, scenario based questions they are going to ask on the Stream API. Collections framework is used to store the objects, group of objects. If you want to represent, you will go for collections. Once the data is available in the collection, to process that data, we are going to use the Stream API. And getting null pointer exception is very common in every project development. To avoid those null pointer exceptions, Java 1.8 introduced a concept called optional class. This introduced in Java util package. When you perform some operation on null object, then you will get a null pointer exception. To avoid that null pointer exception, they introduced this optional class in the Java 1.8. And for parallel processing to do the parallel processing on the data, Java 8 introduced a concept called special iterator. It introduced a concept called special iterator. Okay, next one, string joiner class is available, and collections framework changes also they made some changes in the collections framework as well. Some new classes, new methods that they have introduced. One of the new change that happened in the collections framework is for each method they introduced. Earlier we have only for each loop. From 1.8, for each method also added. By using for each method also, we can traverse our collection objects. And they made the changes to date and time API. They made the changes to date and time API. Earlier we have java.util.date class. When I create a date class, it will give date plus time. It will be difficult if I want to get only date. If I want to get only time, I need to write my own logic. To avoid that problem, to simplify our coding, to simplify our programming, this Java 1.8 introduced a date and a time API concept. Date and time API concept. These are the new features that are added in 1.8 version of Java. Are you guys able to understand what are the new features in the 1.8 version and what is the purpose of each feature? High level. Now we are going to discuss on these things, guys. So it is just a trailer for Java 1.8 features. Abhi picture baki hai. Just we are able to see the trailer. What are the new features added in the 1.8? Now we need to demonstrate on this. So as I mentioned this Java 1.8 features. Today it started. Start date. Today is the first day of our 1.8 features, 18th December. And class timings. Daily 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. IST. Our class will be available. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. IST class will be available. Daily I'm going to take 2 hours of time. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. IST, our class will be available. And it is going to take duration. It is going to take 20 to 25 hours. whatever the features that I have listed down. To understand all these features, it is going to take 20 to 25 hours of time, and you are going to get live classes. Daily class will be available in the live classes will be available, and you are going to get soft copy material. I have prepared a material for 1.8 features, so that material also you are going to get, and you will get the backup videos for revision purpose. Live classes, soft copy material plus backup videos will be provided for the people who are attending Java 1.8 futures. Live classes will be available, soft copy material will be available, backup videos will be provided, and I'm going to cover interview questions also on Java 8, what kind of questions that they are going to ask you. Mainly, they will ask questions on the Stream API and Lambda expressions. So we are going to understand how to work with the Stream API, what kind of questions they are going to ask, and how to answer those questions also. Brother Saraswati, why are you switching on your camera, madam? 10 times I have stopped your camera, but still you are switching on your camera. It will disturb others. Please stop your camera. Okay, Brother Saraswati, stop your camera. Again, you are switching on, madam. Please check it. Okay, backup videos will be provided. This backup videos access will be available for 6 months. Live classes plus soft copy material plus backup videos will be provided. 6 months access will be available for backup videos. Material is a lifetime access for you. Classes 20 to 25 hours of time it is going to take. So today is the first session for our Java 1.8 futures. The course fees for Java 8, it is 2000 rupees. Live classes plus material plus backup videos. For 2000 rupees, you are going to get all these things. All right. All of you comfortable. Good. Any other questions, anyone, before getting into the actual topic? Anybody having any other questions before getting into actual topic? No questions, na? Got it. Without videos fees are 2000 only. If you want to take the videos, we will give you. Otherwise, you don't. Videos is a bonus for you. Videos is a bonus for you. Okay. The fees is 2000 rupees for Java 1.8. So it is it 5 days a week or 6 days a week? 6 days a week it will be available, and every day 2 hours class will be available. Monday to Saturday. If required, Sunday, today Sunday, we have taken a class. So if required, we can take the class on Sunday also. Mandala Sumit, everybody able to see the screen? You need to check your settings. Everybody able to see the screen? Everybody able to see the screen? Only you are not able to see the screen. Please check it. There is a problem from your side. Duration is 25 hours, not 25 days. 20 to 25 hours. That means approximately it is going to take 10 days of time. Daily 2 hours, it will take 10 days of time. It will take 10 days of time. Okay, guys. All right. Perfect. Are you able to understand what are the features introduced in the 1.8? Interface changes happened. Functional interfaces got introduced. Lambda expressions got introduced. Method references got introduced. Stream API got introduced. Optional class, special iterator, string joiner, collections framework changes, date and time API. So that is those are the changes that introduced in the 1.8 version. Now let's start with the first feature, that is interface changes. Let us start with the first feature, that is interface changes. Interface changes. What is the reason behind interface changes in the 1.8 version? So up to 1.7, what is the meaning of interface? Interface means collection of abstract methods. What is the interface, guys? Interface means collection of abstract method. The method which does not contain any body is called as abstract method. Are you guys clear with my point? Interface means collection of abstract methods. The method which does not contain any body is called as abstract method. Let us take one simple example, guys. I'm taking one interface with a name called vehicle. Assume that there is an interface called vehicle interface. In the vehicle interface, I'm writing one abstract method, public abstract void start vehicle. So I'm writing one interface with a method called start vehicle. Right. I'm writing one interface. So you know in the Java, what is interface? Interface means collection of abstract methods. The method which does not contain any body, is called as abstract method. Interface is there. I'm taking one abstract method in the interface. Let's assume that this interface is implementing by a class called car. Class car implements vehicle. Now, when we are implementing an interface in the Java, it is mandatory that you need to implement all the methods available in the interface. So you need to implement public void start vehicle. You need to override all the abstract methods available in the interface. Okay, here we are going to write the logic to start car. I have an interface. My interface is having one method. That interface is implementing by car class. So in the Java, we have a rule. Whenever we implement a interface, that the class which is implementing a interface should override all the methods available in the interface. Do you remember that rule? In interfaces concept, we discussed that. So a Java class can implement an interface. So when the Java class is implementing an interface, it's mandatory that Java class should implement all the abstract methods in the interface. Now, interface is having one abstract method, class car implementing that interface. Now here, let's take that class bus is available. Class bus implements a interface called vehicle. All right. When we implement this interface, now logic to start bus. Okay, guys. Right. So here one interface is available. That interface is implementing by car class. That interface implementing by bus class. Let's assume that interface is implementing by bike also. Car, bus, bike implements vehicle. Logic to start bike. Fine. As of now, there is no problem. My interface is available. My interface is having only one abstract method. That abstract method implementing by car class, implementing by bus class, and implementing by bike class. There is no problem because my interface is having only one abstract method. When we implement an interface, we need to implement all the abstract methods of the interface. Good. Let me represent this diagrammatically. Let me take vehicle interface. In the vehicle interface, there is a method called start vehicle. So this is my vehicle interface. Good. So this is my vehicle interface. In this vehicle interface, I'm writing one method start vehicle. Vehicle interface is available. In this interface, I'm writing start vehicle as one method. Start vehicle as one method. For this interface, there is a implementation class, car, similarly bus and bike. So there are three implementation classes available for the vehicle interface. Car is available and bus is available and bike is available. All these are vehicles only. Car is a vehicle, bus is a vehicle, bike is also a vehicle. These classes are implementing that interface. What is the meaning of implementing an interface? We need to override abstract methods of the interface. Car is implementing this, bus is implementing this, bike is implementing this. Car is implementing this, bus is implementing this, bike is implementing this. So interface is implementing by three classes. Guys, is it legal to implement one interface by three classes? Is it valid or it is invalid in the Java? Is it valid or it is invalid in the Java? One interface can be implemented by multiple classes or not? Come on. Yes, it is legal. It is legal. One interface can be implemented by multiple interfaces. What is the meaning of interface implementation? Interface implementation means we need to provide logic for the method. Interface means collection of abstract methods. The method which does not contain body is called as abstract method. When we implement a interface, a class can implement a interface. A class can implement interface. When a class is implementing a interface, when a class when a class is implementing interface, when a class is implementing interface, it's mandatory that it's mandatory that class should implement all abstract methods of that class. All abstract methods of that class. Able to follow this? Interface means a collection of abstract methods. The method which does not contain any body is called as abstract method. A class can implement interface using implements keyword. By using a keyword called implements keyword, class can implement that interface. When a class is implementing interface, it's mandatory that class should implement all abstract methods of that interface. Class should implement all the abstract methods of that interface. Here I'm taking one interface with a name called vehicle. That vehicle interface is implemented by car class. I'm overriding that method. And bus is also implementing the vehicle. I'm overriding that method. Bike is also implementing the vehicle. I'm overriding that method. There is no problem. My code will work as expected. My code will work as expected. That's fine. But let's assume that after this project development is completed, car class is completed, bus class is completed, bike class is completed, all these three classes implementing this interface. Now we got one new requirement from the client to add a clean vehicle method. I want to add one method called clean vehicle. Now, if I add a method called clean vehicle method in the interface, by default, every method in the interface will become abstract method. Guys, when I add a clean vehicle method in the interface, I'm making the changes to my interface. I have added a new abstract method in the interface. When I add the new method in the interface, my existing classes can be compiled or my existing classes will fail, because here I am overriding only start vehicle method. Here I'm overriding only start vehicle method. Here I'm overriding only start vehicle method. Here I'm overriding only start vehicle method. Now I have added a new method in the interface. When I add a new method in the interface, the classes which are implementing the interface can be compiled. The classes cannot be compiled. All the classes will fail at the compilation only, because these classes are implementing the interface. They have only they are implementing only one method. But today I have added a new method in the interface. As I have added a new method in the interface, my classes compilation will fail. The reason is, when the class is implementing an interface, they need to implement all the abstract methods of the interface. When I developed car class, bike class, there is only one method called start vehicle method. But today clean vehicle method is added in the interface. As the new method is added to the interface, I need to override that method in all the three classes also. But for my bike, clean vehicle functionality not available, not required for me. Even though it is not required for me, I have to implement, because a class should implement all the abstract methods of the interfaces. So with this default behavior of the interfaces, can we add a new functionality to the interfaces without affecting the existing implementation classes? That is not possible. Are you guys able to understand what is the problem here? Are you guys able to understand what is the problem here? If you add any new method in the interface, then what will happen? If you add a new method in the interface, now I'm going to add a method called clean method. If I add a clean method in the interface, then what will happen? Client has given a new requirement. I have added a new method in the interface. When I add a new method in the interface, what will happen? What will happen? All the classes which are implementing that interface will fail. Why? What is the reason? When the class is implementing an interface, it's mandatory the class should implement all the abstract methods of the interface. Earlier, there was only one abstract method. My classes are implementing that abstract method. But today, as per the new requirement, I have added a new method in the interface. When I add a new method in the interface, all these three classes compilation will fail. Is it supporting the new functionality? Is it supporting the new functionality? No, no. To avoid this problem, Java 8 introduced a concept called default methods and static methods. Don't write a abstract method in the interface. Write a default method in the interface. If you write a default method, that means a concrete method. Without disturbing the existing classes, you can add a method with the body in the interface. That's where default methods came into picture. Are you guys able to understand why default methods came into picture? To add the new functionality to the existing interfaces, default methods and static methods came into picture. Are you guys able to understand? Are you guys able to understand? For example, let's assume that here we are having one interface called collection. We are having one interface called collection. This collection interface is extending by list, and it is extending by set. It is extending by queue. It is extending by queue. Now this list is implementing by array list, linked list, vector, and stack. This set is implementing by hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. Queue. Here we have priority queue and we have DQ. For example, if I add one method in the collection interface, for example, I will add a method called for each method in the collection interface. In the collection interface released in the 1.2 version, this collection interface is implementing by array list, linked list, vector stack, hash set, linked hash set, tree set, priority queue, and DQ. Now, if I add new abstract method in the collection interface, then what will happen to array list class, linked list class, vector stack, hash set, linked hash set, to tree set, priority queue, DQ? All these classes will fail. Why? Because when you add a new abstract method in the collection interface, all the classes which are implementing the collection interface should override that new method. That is the rule. When the class is implementing an interface, we need to override all the abstract methods of the interface. With this feature, can we add new functionality in the existing projects? Can we add the new functionality in the existing project with the interface's default behavior in the Java? No, no. That's where default methods concept came into picture. Now I want to write one method in the interface. Write it as a default method with the body. If I write a method with the default method with the body, is there any disturbance for the existing implementation classes? Will there be any disturbance for the existing classes? There is no disturbance for the existing classes. That's why interfaces got changed in the 1.8 version. Interface means a collection of abstract methods. The method which does not contain any body is called as abstract method. A class can implement interface using implements keyword. When a class is implementing interface, it's mandatory that class should implement all the abstract methods of that interface. Otherwise, class cannot be compiled. Otherwise, class cannot be compiled. Here, I'm taking one interface with one method. Here, I'm taking one interface with one abstract method. Here, I'm taking one interface with one abstract method. All the classes which are implementing the interface, all the classes which are implementing that interface should override interface methods. Should override interface methods. Here I have taken vehicle, right? Vehicle with one method. Car is implementing that interface. Bus is implementing that interface. Bike is implementing that interface. Okay, if we add new method, if we add a new method in interface, then car, bike, and bus will fail at compile time. Will fail at compile time. So adding the new functionality will become very difficult. Let us take the example of the collections. We have a collections framework. In the collections interface, if in the collection interface or in the list interface, for example, list interface available, array list, linked list, vector, stack, implementation classes. If I add one new method called some method, like I am adding some method called insert method in the list. If I add a insert method in the list, if I add the new method in the list interface, what will happen? Array list, linked list, vector, stack can be compiled, or I need to make the changes for all the list implementation classes. Come on, guys. List is one interface. It will contain abstract methods. It will contain abstract methods. When I add a new method in the list interface, then what is the effect? All the list implementation classes also should be modified. It will fail. It will fail because when the interface is having abstract method, all the implementation classes should implement that method. Otherwise, all the implementation classes will fail. But what the Java people thought that is, if you want to add a new functionality, why to touch the existing classes? Why to modify the existing classes to provide the new functionality for the interfaces? That's where they introduced a concept called default methods and static methods. A interface can contain a concrete method. That method should be default or static. Interface can contain a concrete method, default method, and static method. Sir, you can write a default method and static method in the interface. What is the difference? Default methods means we can override the default methods in the implementation classes. Static methods means we cannot override them. That is the only difference. Now, in the start vehicle method, I'm writing a clean method. If I write the clean as a abstract method, my car, bus, bike will fail. I don't want to fail these classes. I will write the clean method as a default method. Default method will contain a body. So what is the advantage of going for this default method? When you go for the default method, whatever the logic available in the default method, you can execute as it is as a parent class method. If you don't like that implementation, you can override that clean method in your class also. You can override that clean method in your class also. So default methods can be overridden, whereas static methods cannot be overridden. All right, now here let me take one class with a name called, let me take one class with a name called car class. Let me take a class called car class. Now in this, I'm creating one interface. So interface, I'm creating with a name called vehicle. Interface vehicle is available. Here I'm writing one method, public void start. I'm writing one method, public void start method. Here car class is available. Car class is going to implement that interface. Car implements vehicle. Implements vehicle. Now see, when my class is implementing an interface, it is failing at the compile time. Car must implement the abstract method called start method. Because this is abstract method, when my class is implementing that interface, it has to override that method. Let me override that method. When I override that start method, here I can write some logic. Whenever we are implementing an interface, we need to override that method. System.out.println start. That is car start. That is car start. Got it, guys? I'm able to write that start method. Now here I'm going to write main method. I'm going to create the object for car C is equal to new car. Car C is equal to new car C dot start. I'm running this program. When I run this program, you can see car start, car started. That output we are going to get. Car started. Now, in the same interface, if I add one method called public void clean method, then what will happen? Now see, when I add the clean method in the interface, my class is failed because I need to override the clean method. Whenever there is a abstract method in the interface, that abstract method we have to override. Otherwise, our implementation classes will fail. If there is only one implementation class, there is no problem. But let's think about that. That vehicle interface is implemented by 10 classes. When you add a new method, all the 10 classes will fail. Collection interfaces are there. List. If you add a new method in the list interface, all the list implementation classes will fail. All the list implementation classes will fail. So that's why Java 8 introduced a concept called default method. If you want to add the new functionality to the existing interface, don't add it as a abstract method. Let's write like this. Public default void clean. Public default void clean. Now I can write a default method with body. This is a concrete method. System.out.println cleaning progress, cleaning completed, cleaning completed. So whenever I add a default method, when I add a default method, is it failing my car class? Is my car class is failing or my car class is not failing? My car class is not failed. Okay, I can access the default method happily. C dot clean, C dot clean. Clean method is my method or clean method is my interface method. Clean method is my interface method. Cleaning completed and the car started. Can I say these default methods are used to add the new functionality without disturbing the existing implementation classes? Guys, can I say that these default methods are used to add the new functionality to the existing interfaces without disturbing the existing implementation classes? That is called backward compatibility. Default methods are providing backward compatibility. Okay, guys. So in the interfaces, you can write a concrete method, but the Java people kept one rule. If you want to write a concrete method in the interface, that concrete method should be either default method or it should be static method. If you want to write a concrete method in the interface, that concrete method should be either default or static. Now, if it is a default method, I don't like the interface implementation. Can I override that default method? Can I override that clean method? Whatever the clean method is available, can we override? Yes, we can override that default method. System.out.println. System.out.println. I'm going to override my clean method. My clean method. Interface added a new method as a default method. That method, if you want, you can call as it is. If you don't like that, you can override that. Overriding is possible for default methods. Now, c.clean. My class is overriding the clean method, so my class clean method will be called. My class clean method will be called. If I don't override that method, then interface default method will be called. Sir, default methods we understood. If you want to add the new methods to the interfaces without disturbing the existing implementation classes, then you can go for default methods. Whenever you write a default method, the implementation classes can override, overriding, method overriding. When you don't like your parent method implementation, then you can override that method. Similarly, default methods we can override in the implementation classes. Suppose I'm writing this method as a static method. What is the meaning of static method? Static method, default methods both are same. To add the new methods to the interface without disturbing the implementation classes. But the only difference is default methods we can override, whereas static methods we cannot override. Default methods we can override, whereas static methods we cannot override. If interface is having a static method with body, if you want to write a body for the method in the interface, that should be either default method or it should be static method. If it is a static method, by using interface name, you can call that method. If it is a default method, by using object, we can call that method. If it is an interface, we can, if it is a static method, we can call that by using interface name. If it is a default method, we can call by using object. Able to understand? Are you guys able to understand this? Are you guys able to understand? Good. Now, 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 here we understood purpose of what is the purpose of default methods and static methods. If interface, I want to add a method for my interface, those methods should be called by my implementation classes, but they should not override. I don't want them to override my static methods. I don't want to override my interface method. Then I will make my method as a static method. If you don't want to allow your implementation classes to override this behavior, then you will make it as a static method. If you want to allow them to override, then you can go for default method. Sir, what is the use case where Java implemented this concept? If you see in the Java, there is a concept called collection interface. Collection interface is extending the properties from one interface called iterable. Iterable, right? Let's go to JSC API. In the JSC API, Java util package is available. Go to java.util package, java.util package, and in that collection interface is available. Collection interface is extending the properties from iterable. In the iterable, there are some methods available. What is this method? For each method. For each method is introduced in the iterable. So for each method introduced in the iterable, for each method, okay, for each method performs the given operation on the elements. In which version it is introduced? 1.8 version. This for each method introduced in the 1.8 version, for each is a default method. Why they have given for each as a default method? If they don't give for each as a default method, then what will happen? All the collections framework classes will fail, because collection is extending the properties from iterable. When you add a method in the iterable interface, all the collection implementation classes should override the for each method, right? So implementing that for each method in all the classes is easy. Writing that method as a default method is easy. Come on, guys. Writing that for each method as a default method is easy in the interface, or overriding the for each method in all the collection classes is easy. Writing default method is easy. That's why they added a new method in the interface, that is the iterable interface. Iterable interface is a root interface in the collection, right? Collections framework will extend the properties from iterable. In the iterable, they added two default methods. One is for each method, another one is special iterator method. Okay, guys, now you understood where they have implemented that default method in the Java. In the iterable concept, they added one method called for each method. So when they add that for each method in the iterable interface, do we need to implement that method in all the implementation classes, or not required? Not required. Why? Because that is a concrete method. So if you want to add a concrete method in the interface, you can go for either a default or static. Can you tell me in which scenario we will go for default methods? In which scenario we will go for static methods in the interface? In which scenario we'll go for default, and in which scenario we'll go for static? Come on, guys. In which scenario you will go for default? In which scenario you will go for static? If we want implementation classes to allow overriding of your method, then go for default. I don't want anybody to override my method in the interface, then we will make it as a static methods. So can I say interface changes are added in the Java 8 to allow the programmers to add the new methods to the interface without disturbing existing implementation classes. Without disturbing the existing implementation classes. Is that clear? So if you add a default method, you can call by using object, and if you add a static method, you can call by using interface name. You can write multiple default methods, multiple static methods in the interface. It's not like only one default method. You can write multiple default methods in the interface. Public void m1. Directly writing the concrete method not possible in the interface. That should be either default or static. Public default void m1, public default void m2, public default void m3. Can I add multiple default methods? Can we add multiple default methods in the interface? Yes. Can we add multiple static methods in the interface? Yes or no? Can we add multiple default methods in the interface? Can we add multiple static methods in the interface? Yes, yes. Okay. To overcome the above problem, we will use default and static methods. Default and static methods. Interface can have concrete methods from 1.8 version. Interface concrete method should be should be default or static. Default methods we can override in implementation classes. Static methods we cannot override. Interface default methods we can override in implementation class. Interface default methods we can override in the implementation classes. Static methods, interface static methods we cannot override in IMPL classes. We can write multiple default and static methods in interface. Default and static methods are introduced to provide backward compatibility. Default and static methods introduced to provide backward compatibility. So these are the reasons why interface changes happened in the 1.8 version. So from 1.8, can we write both abstract methods and static methods in the interface? Come on. Come on, guys. Can we add concrete methods in the interface? Yes, we can add concrete methods in the interface by using default and static. Default methods we can override in the implementation class. Static methods we cannot override in the implementation class. You can write multiple default methods and multiple static methods in the interface. Interface default methods and static methods are used to provide backward compatibility. Example. For each method added in iterable interface as default method in 1.8 version. For each method added in java.util. Iterable interface as a default method in 1.8 version. So collections classes need to override this for each method, or they can access that method directly. They can access that method directly because that method added a default method. Default method nothing but that is having a body. Right. When the interface is loaded, then static methods also will be loaded. When the class is loaded, static methods will be loaded. When the interface is loaded, if that interface having the static methods also will be loaded. How class static methods will load? Similarly, interface static methods also will be loaded by JVM. All right, guys. So I hope we understood the first feature of Java 8. What is the first feature of the Java 8? Interface changes. Default methods and static methods. I hope you understood why default methods and static methods introduced in the Java 1.8. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Today is the first session. So from tomorrow, we are going to continue with this. I'm stopping for today. Tomorrow, we are going to start our functional interfaces. Thank you. Thanks for watching. This video is available in our YouTube channel also. Today's video. People watching from YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for upcoming videos. So we'll see you in the tomorrow session. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. class is available. Tomorrow we are going to start with functional interfaces. Okay, guys. Good. Thank you, guys.